Here's a quick video about how to do Claude Desktop with file system. So once you pay for Claude, then you'll be able to use all of your $20 usage without using API calls and still be able to have it work on your file system. The thing you want to do is download Claude Desktop, and then you'll go to settings. I don't know where it'll be on Windows exactly, but somewhere in Claude is Claude settings. And make sure you get this modal that has general and developer here, and not the settings that's in this spot here, which is a different spot. So you'll have to check, but on the Mac, it's over here in Claude settings, and that opens up this one here. So under there, there's a tab called developer, and then there's edit config. So this is where you specify the model context protocol servers that you want. The only one you really need is this file system one. So hit edit config. That should open up a place that the Claude config is stored. And then this here is just a text file. It's actually what's called a JSON file, which is just this format that does like curly braces and whatnot. So when you first load it up, you'll probably just have something that looks like this, or maybe even this. So it's just kind of very empty. There's this text snippet, which is this little part right here. And what this says is you're going to spin up a node thread using this command npx. So npx, and it's going to run with this argument to go get this package. And then here's where you'll give it access to whatever folders that you want on your system. So in my case, I gave it access to my users, David Haig source folder. But you can also add extra ones here. You can say like, all right, I also want it to go to users, David Haig downloads, and maybe also users, David Haig, maybe like movies or something like that. All the different places, documents. And wherever you want it, you just keep on adding on to that list right there. So let me show you an example of how this works. If I get rid of these for now, and I hit save, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart my Claude. So I'm just going to close everything out, close, close. So I'm just like closing it all out. Now it's going to load back up. And what's going to happen is once you've put that little snippet in there, it's going to add this little part right here. So you can see search and tools, and then file system. And now these are all of the different tools that it can use within the file system. Now, because I gave it access to my source folder, I could say something like, what's the last folder that was modified in the source directory? And it'll think for a second. And this is using Claude that will then go to your file system. So it's thinking, I need to do this, I need to do that. Okay, I'm going to list my allowed directories. Okay, here's a source directory. So it's actually going to the file system and doing things. Let me examine the contents, and so on and so on. Let me get the file info, and it's going to find out which one was most recently done. So this is actually my primary coding workflow. I have a folder on my computer where I have all of my code, and I do a lot of stuff within my system prompt, and I'll show you my system prompt in just a second here. I do a lot of stuff within my system prompt to guide it of where I want to go. So it'll keep going here, but I'm just going to stop it because this is kind of giving you the idea. Is it has a list of those tools that it can use to list directories, move files, search files, blah, blah, blah. Even edit files, delete files. If you don't feel comfortable, you could even turn some of these off, but you definitely want edit file. I usually just leave everything on. It does a pretty good job. And because it's sandbox within that source directory, it does a pretty good job. Okay, so now that you've got that, the next thing that you want to think about is projects. So Claude has this thing called projects, and in here this is just a way to keep your chats together. So for instance, I have this one, Google Serper Scraper to DB, and if I expand this a little bit, you can see a little bit better. This kind of keeps all of my chats about this thing together, but also importantly, I have this project knowledge, and this is what you call the system prompt. So in here, this gets sent along with every new chat. So this project is intended to do this and this, like here's what it does. The project is located at my file system at this particular spot. You can use your file system tools. So this prompt here is also kind of important to set the stage. Before you get started, read these following files. So I usually give it the most important files to get acclimated. And then I keep going and I give it coding instructions to say, keep your files to a manageable size, a few hundred lines. If it's getting too long, break it up and so on. And this will change per project. So when I have a Python project, it has an instruction like this. When I have a web project, it's like break things into components instead of what you might see with Python here. So that's that. And then once I have all that set up in the system prompt, then I'm able to just start typing to it and say, hey, I want to make this change now. And it has all that context already. I think that there are a million other MCP servers that you can go get This thing, modelcontextprotocol.io, there's examples. These are great places to get started. This memory one's pretty interesting. Another one that's pretty easy to set up. You just find the snippet that you need, add this to your Claude Desktop config. So this part right here, memory, if you just add that now, it can actually remember stuff about you, and it keeps it as a knowledge graph. So it's like entity relationship. There's a load of MCP servers you can use, but if you just get started with the file system one, which again is linked from this page here on the examples page, if you just go to the file system one, you just grab this little section right here and paste that into your Claude code, that's going to get you a long way. And again, the most important thing about this is that it uses your $20 subscription to Claude. When you are doing these things, I would recommend also checking this little box for extended thinking. That really helps for planning. It will use up your usage a little bit faster, because what will happen is over time you will start to hit these limits where it says like, hey, you only got a couple messages left, and then it'll reset around 1 p.m. today or 11 a.m. today or 11 p.m. tonight or 1 p.m. tonight. So it will start to rate limit you if you use it too much, which I definitely do. I can actually go to one of these other ones here, and you could see I like told it to a million things all at once, and it really thought about it for a long time. Let's see, mobile project optimization. If I scroll up to this one, it's like, okay, I gotta read all these, I gotta list these things, I gotta do all this, and it started editing, and then like it hit the length on that one, so I had to say continue, and it could edit. So I used up a lot of tokens on that one too. So anyway, just a little preview of Claude Code. If you're only gonna pay for one LLM subscription, I would recommend Claude because you could do this kind of thing to do your coding. So good luck. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know.